Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all well. Happy Sunday. HP Shalom. Hope you all had a wonderful week. So this week, we're going to continue a little bit on the tree of life and the chakras, discussing how we manifest in our world the more embodied form of our body, and how we connect with God in a physical way, and how that's sort of built into us. We are the branches in the tree of life, and we'll be discussing that a little bit. So why don't we take a moment to sort of steady ourselves. As always, I was putting on the finishing touches. So I need a moment myself. And then we'll begin a little bit. So sometimes when I need to center, I just put my hands over my face, sort of the fingertips over the eyebrows, wherever it's comfortable. And I take a breath and I just sort of turn inwards and focus in my body, sort of the upper chest area and maybe my whole body, and just put my awareness there. We're going to work on body exercises after this and try to give people a more felt sense of their body. We are shifting our awareness from our energy, from our heads where we live, thoughts, momentum, to something that's grounded. Our body is the root of our minds. Our minds contain a lot of energy, movement, a lot of air. Yes, scattered. We're scattered, right? That's, leaves are scattered, right? It's light. It moves quickly. Our bodies is grounded. Our minds is very energetic, right? Our body is made of earth, and our feet is part of our root chakra, and it grounds us to the physical earth. That makes sense? So in a way, just like an electrical current, a plug is grounded. That's often like the third plug, the third little piece. In American plugs, we normally have two. One is more grounded, but when it's a big refrigerator, we have that third plug, the third little piece of metal, and that's directly the ground. And so our heads and our third eye and our crown are the least grounded part of our body, the more subtle, energetic. And as we go further down, it gets denser and more heavy, and doesn't have to necessarily be in a bad way, but it just brings us back to a center. Connecting with our inner body grounds us through our legs into the earth and brings us to a different level of stability. Yes? So when we put our hands over our head, I mean, not over our head, against our face, there's things going on with the hand chakras, which will be for another day, but it helps, especially with the left hand where we emanate energy. It kind of actually, in a way, pushes our focus more inwards. And if we breathe and we rest, we can find a kind of calm. And it takes the energy and our focus from our brains. And we feel calmer because the focus where we're living at is no longer so much in the brain. We're moving that energy and its focus of our minds into our bodies, and our brains get calm. And in that calm, as I've mentioned, there's an alignment that forms and a rebalancing of our chakras. What we're going for is an embodied intelligence, mind intelligence, an embodied and access, tapping into to our innate awareness, our wisdom, transcendent wisdom, which is beneath the mind. Third eye, crown chakra. Yes? So that groundedness allows us to bring in an embodied form of our awareness, which is inherently more divine. We're not pulled with the displacements of the chakras as much as we go down. We'll discuss a little bit today, give an overview, and then over the next couple of weeks, we're going to dig in. And then, but not too deeply. Like I said, we really don't need to go into painstaking details. We need to understand. Each chakra has mental states associated with them, as well as levels of being. And we will work on being able to feel them. And hopefully you'll get an appreciation that they're real, which they are, absolutely, completely, 100% real. And just leave an open mind if, you don't think so, or you haven't had any experiences of them. And as you do the mantras and some meditation using the body, which I will teach, and the mind calms, you will be able to feel these centers. It's a question of knowing they're there, so you can start like feeling it because you've putting your awareness there and like what's here. So you're open to something that you didn't think was real. So of course, how would you feel it? It's like nobody tells you there's anything underground, so you all focus above ground. But if somebody says there's things underground in our body, you can start looking for them and getting a sense of them, which you wouldn't ever see because you never put your focus there to try to uncover, to discover, actually. Yes? And we'll learn to be able to sort of feel that because it directly affects our emotions and our actions. And we'll work on bringing some analogies to the Sefirots, the different ones. And you'll have an understanding how they kind of all work together. Just an additional piece. They don't fully link up because they're different paradigms and different levels, explaining slightly different things, but they definitely affect one another. So that's sort of where we're headed. So right now we're going to center, and I've just launched right into a teaching, which is a really good sign for today. But I'm going to try to not make this too long. So let's put our hands to get over the face. And just take a deep breath through the nose. Oh no, let me angle towards the mic so I don't come out all muffled when I put my hands over my face. Put your awareness to your lower spine. See, I'm teaching shamanic meditation already. It is an extremely powerful form of meditation. So helpful. So focus on your spine, make sure it's straight. So shoulders back. Let's just go back to good posture, right? So you're not putting too much stress on the spine. It's not like you're rigid, but you're making sure you're going straight up. You're not leaning too far forward, too far back. You know, that sort of sweet spot. If anybody's ever driven a stick shift, right? This is the neutral that sort of wriggles a little up. If you wiggle it, it kind of can move to every gear without being in the gear. It's sort of that sweet spot of the neutral gear, the one right in the middle. You know, you could rev the car. It's not going to go anywhere because you're not in the gear. I'm explaining this more thoroughly because I don't think younger generations have ever really driven a stick shift. This is before cars went in automatic mode back in the dark ages, where it would just naturally go up or down on its own. And now, you know, sports cars still have gear shifts because people like the control. So we're literally in neutral. So when we go inward and we line up our spines and we find that posture right from the base, the posture comes, it's perfect because we're literally discussing chakras. We're lining up the column so it's in neutral. That means the kundalini isn't getting as much influence by each chakra. So we're finding that in spot where it's open from the root to the top, because we're being careful that our spines are not moved a little bit to the left or a little forward or a little back, which will take that life energy that comes from between our legs, perineum, and there's a spot there you'll be able to feel up our spine. The energy is pure when it comes in. And depending on where we have our blocks in our different chakras, it exits, gets distorted, and then doesn't flow as much. So when we watch the angle of our spine and finding that sweet spot. And if people move the spine a little forward, a little left, a little right, you can watch the spacing of your legs. Right now, my legs are a little bit apart. They're not together. So legs, I'm a man, so it might be slightly different for a woman, but I don't think so. Your legs are not together. They're, you're doing a little bit of a man spread, when the legs are a little open, because it kind of opens up that root chakra. And you kind of feel where it's better if you do this in the chair, but you can do this, in meditation posture, of course. You find that sweet spot. Yes? And of course, you do it when you're cross-legged as well, but it might be easier in the chair because it's a little firmer. And then your feet are flat on the ground. In front of you, kind of like a right angle. Up and then over. And you find that spot, and that's a direct flow of the Kundalini. You might not be able to find it right away because you don't have that felt sense in your body right now. You haven't developed that capacity. And learn to take that tension out of your body. Massage, acupuncture. Right? The mantras we do help do that too. But when you put your hands over your face and you relax, the mind will still. Because when you're in that current, there's not as much as an exit into the mind, which really drains us. Anxiety, right? You feel exhausted because your mind is literally sapping all the energy out of your body. But if you're aligned, you could actually do all that work, possibly faster, with much less tiredness. But when the work is done, mental work, physical is physical, but mental, like 9 hours at work, 8 hours at work, if you have a more desk job, you won't be as tired because you're not spinning your mind as much. You're doing it in presence. Your chakras are aligned and efficient. All right, so just put our hands together and we're going to breathe. We're breathing in and out through the nose because that activates energetic currents, pathways in the body, which promote a balancing of our body, of the chakras, and allow calmness. Like when we did the pranayamas through the nose, it works through the same method. Actually, the same method. So we breathe and exhale, find that little sweet spot, and just breathe from that spot. Just relax in that awareness that you've placed in that sweet spot. And if people have done their work, you actually put your awareness right in the Kundalini channel, in the middle pillar of the Sefirot paradigm. And yes, you can do that. You literally put your whole awareness in the Kundalini channel and you rest there. More advanced, way more advanced, but it's entirely possible. So wherever you find that sweet spot, just look at its temperature, what energetic principles you could feel, or just that, what does that alignment feel like? And that's placing your awareness there. And then with time, without thinking of its temperature or what it feels like, you're able to put your conscious mind right there and you open in that space, and that space is transcendent. You're literally in Jacob's ladder, beyond time and space, but everything falls away, and you're left in your body with an awareness. And if you can live there, then you have levels of attainment. So this is what makes this such much the quick path, because you find ways to tap directly in. And then the way you act, the way you behave, the focus in your life naturally flows from that. As opposed to working with the ways you behave, the way you act, to find that alignment. You see, we're finding the alignment which naturally leads to your actions, behaviors, motivations, and direction and emphasis of your life would naturally change. Because you're dealing with the root of our body, the basis, the foundation. Foundation, look at this. Like the bottom Sefirot, and everything else is built on top. Change the foundation, move the foundation, shift the foundation, everything that's on top, everything that manifests from the foundation naturally would have to shift because it's based on that. So we put our hands, or we put a body posture, or we work on our breathing, we do the mantras, which works with our energy. We feel aligned, we feel connected. We're literally working with our foundation and how the energy moves, which changes our mental state, how we perceive. We take that time to practice. We learn more and more to rest in that space in our lives, to have visuals like the screensaver on our phones, the desktop wallpaper, which triggers our memory during the day of images, which leads to teachings, which reminds us of holiness, or holy pictures, which triggers us to remember the felt sense and the alignment we've had in our practice, and it brings it up during our day, which in turns causes the way we engage with our world and our actions, our speech, to change. And this is why practice is so important. Practice is our vehicle to manifest a different way in our lives. Because we're literally working with the frequencies and our alignment in our bodies, which clears Sefirot blockages, chakra blockages, misalignments. So we come in like with the chakra teachings, not too much to the left, not too much to the right. And then we live in the balance, which is the central column. The balance with the chakras system, when the chakras are in alignment, and all the chakras are in the central column in the body. But when they flow properly, everything flows properly in the central column. Our body can be considered to be a tree. lined up chakras, we bear good fruit, our body prospers. The root chakra at the bottom of the tree is what leads us to being grounded, fed by the earth, by life. We'll discuss this more in a moment. I'm not going to hop in. So let's just take a moment, center ourselves. The same alignment could be found by touching our fingertips, having our hands flat, one on each leg. All of this balances our body, the left and right hemispheres. And it also can lead to that alignment, which centers our mind and allows the flow of wisdom to come in, top down from violet on top. Okay. Take a moment. This is actually, we're doing a somatic meditation, a body meditation. It will get easier as we do some other practices to bring us more into our bodies. Our bodies are naturally grounded. So you just relax, breathe, and the object of our meditation is our bodies. See which place in the center of your body you feel the most awareness in. The sweet spot, one of them, is resting your awareness at your root chakra, perineum, which is the spot where your body actually touches the chair or the cushion. And you rest there. You see what you can feel there, and you just relax. Or you feel the whole channel, or you don't feel anything at all, but you do feel that sort of sweet spot. And you open yourself to that sweet spot. It's naturally aligned. And that's where you put your soft attention at. So it's not a visual, it's not a name, it's not a frequency you're generating through a name, but you're feeling an energy there. It's the natural energy of our body. So we're grounding ourselves in that energy that's coming up, that lives within us, or that alignment that we just feel. We rest in that sweet spot for a moment. Okay, that a little longer. Your mind should be feeling calm and centered. And that's the sign that you're doing it, lack of a better word, quote unquote, correctly. You've found that alignment. Even if you don't feel anything else, you just rest in that alignment. You rest in that calm feeling you're feeling. So there's different ways of where you could rest, different levels, different ways. Because ultimately you're just resting in that sense of calm. And you could actually see that clarity or feel sort of sparkling, clear, effervescent quality of peace. And as you rest there, along the path or right away, you can feel the energy beginning to rest at your third eye. That pure current going up is very much the higher frequency that's in the third eye and in the crown. You don't feel so much the crown as much unless it tingles because it's being activated and it's opening, but it's very much the energy that feeds directly into the third eye. Be white. I don't see purple as much. It's just in the diagram. It's very much a white, pure, translucent energy that animates our body all the way up and through. Just take a moment there. Breathe, relax, and be still. And it helps very much to have your eyes closed and just experience. Okay. So breathe and come back into your body, into your awareness. Open your eyes. Maybe touch your body a little bit. A more present and less light in a way. Lite. Drink water, rub your eyes. So how did that feel? Feel calmer in your mind? Yes. It also demonstrates the importance of practicing, and especially learning to practice in stillness, right? So there's mantra practice, and then there's that stillness practice, bringing your mind back to your body, right? Your thoughts and awareness wander, and you remember to bring it back to the object of meditation. One object of meditation is within your body. So it's a somatic practice, somatic meaning the body. So it's body meditation, or an image in front of you, right? A sacred image, the Aleph, whatever it would be for you, or a Torah, a sacred book in front of you, and you're bringing your mind back to the front cover, or you've opened it up and there's a passage. You're not reading the passage, but you're seeing the holy words, and you bring your mind back to that. These things carry blessings which help. So it's learning to focus the mind. One of the easiest ways to focus your mind is in the felt sensation, how you feel in your body, and learning to relax in it. So the object is the body. But you're able to better focus if you practice it. This is why we're learning to discipline our minds. And this is what I say sometimes, it's important to do the practice, because the more stable your mind, the deeper you'll be able to experience and feel and understand. If your mind's scattered, it's not in your body, and therefore you're not going to deepen and discover the fruits, the calmness, and allow that wisdom to emanate your body and your mind, and you start perceiving in a different way. Yes? The mind and the body are not dirty, distorted in its pure aligned way. The body is not the source of evil. A misaligned body is, but our aligned body, not. Don't worry about the colors. I don't. Never learned about the colors. There's meditations on colors. I've never done that. Can't speak to that. Wasn't where I saw the importance of this as being. Wasn't from the tradition I learned. However, what is important is the understanding of these different colors in the fact that they indicate chakra points, which are real. And I see the colors as indicating different frequencies: red, lower; violet and white, higher. right? The third eye, you want to, it's a white color if you end up seeing it. And it is, you will be able to see that color one day, if not right away. But that's white. Kundalini channel is a milky, vibrant, emanating white color. That's real. Okay, the West, whatever. But the understanding of their placement and how they're different and they have different characteristics. The body is a holy temple. It's the vessel of God on this planet. In a fully purified state, it's an Emmanuel that's embodied. In a not so purified state, it can be the source of the worst evil. It depends how the flow goes through, and it is a lot influenced by our actions. Yes? So people who could see people's auras, they see different colors, or they see a white aura. Chakras out of alignment, the aura could look very gray or dark, black. Yes? So our bodies, in a way, holds the current of our actions, our thinking, our alignment or misalignment. The energy coming down from God that animates this body, or comes up that animates this body, because it's a bottom up and the top down, is pure. We don't get a taint from that. How we manifest it, how our body weaves it in and is influenced, how we influence it. It's like a pure current, but yet if the circuitry is not aligned or there's bad programs in it, then it distorts it. Bad thoughts, bad motivations, bad instinctual reactions from our youth, how we perceive, how we have learned to talk or act, more with anger, more with thought. Those can lead to distortions. That makes sense? Another image here. So in a way, this is our spiritual, energetic, embodied architecture. So we have the root on the bottom. We have the sacral, which is orange, second chakra, sexual chakra. Then we have the solar plexus further up. The heart chakra is green. That's the one in the middle. And then the dark blue is the throat. And then the violet is on the top of the head, the third eye. And then normally they have the crown as white or gold. I tend to like the crown as white. And then the gold is the chakra directly above the head, which I haven't discussed yet. That's God. Right? So that's kind of traditionally how it is. The tree of life image here Hello, this is HP Shalom. I thought I would jump in here. While editing the teaching, I made some changes and had focused mainly on what I was going to say. And I didn't catch that some images were not correct. Images you see are new images, with the exception of one that seems to be carried throughout, which was just on the screen. I wanted to make a point about the tree that you have before you. I made some edits while editing this teaching to firmly put the root chakra, the red one, at the very base of the roots. The root chakra is between our legs, and our legs can be seen as roots. And in the other images, it tended to be a little too high up. In part, I put the root chakra lower, so the heart chakra, the green, is at the heart and center of the tree, and not too high up. The heart is the center of our body. It's the center of our tree. It's a truth. We operate from the heart. It's our core. And therefore, it was very important for me to make sure the green was at the heart of the tree. And as I moved everything downwards, the root chakra became very much at the very root of the tree. And just at the very bottom, before the roots sort of branch out fully in the dirt, and it was the right place for it. So I felt it very much aligned. I haven't really discussed the Aleph in this teaching because the Aleph was never mentioned in this teaching because the tree didn't have it at the time. This is very much a new image. I wanted to put the image now. The right at the very top is the crown chakra at the top of our body. The colors, and this is mainly why I am speaking now, are often different from what you see online. There are similarities and differences. These colors are more traditional. The colors are more grounded and more based on the colors that could be found in pigments, in stones that existed back then. The blue through the throat chakra is based on lapis lazuli. And nowadays, if you looked at the images, it is a baby blue. I have no idea how modern images has gotten baby blue. Because as you see of the progression of the images, it makes sense from a spectrum point of view. There's no way there would be a baby blue there. So it gets back to my point, which I'll make in a bit when I go back to the original teaching recording, that one has to be very careful with what one sees online. Online you see a lot of fluorescent colors. Not so. So one kind of has to be careful. An image conveys an energy and a teaching. Even if one doesn't fully understand what's going on in an image, it has a vibration. And one has to be really careful, especially when one doesn't fully have the knowledge to understand what's in the image and what can be correct or not, and what is correct and what is not correct, in that gray area that exists. Some images have good things and also bad things, correct or not correct, all in one image. So it's sort of a yellow flag of caution. I hope this is helpful. I wanted to provide some clarity. And I hope you've enjoyed this teaching. Thank you. The tree of life can mean many different things depending where you look at it. So this is not the Sefirot's tree of life. This is the living tree of life. Our body is a tree. The spine is our trunk. Our limbs stretch like branches. The breath is sort of like the wind through the branches, the movement of life within our body. And our chakras shine like lights along the trunk. That's sort of our personal body. Then each of us is like a branch on the greater tree of the world or our society. So our society or our town or our group as a whole is a tree, and each of us is a branch in it, a part of that tree. Community, each person is a branch that's connected to the whole. And what we bring forth, what we do, our deeds, our words, our presence, is our fruit in that society. What we bring to it. And then it influences the whole. Our roots is what draws strength to us, the nourishment, faith, family, our friends. And our branches is what extends from us, our relationships, our children's, our influences, our acts. Our leaves also could be seen as our actions that shelter and reshade others. And then, of course, that in turn influences what we receive from them. Leaves also absorb and also nourish us. So our fruits bring out, and then our leaves absorb from our environment, which in turn influences us, our tree. Anger from the outside can hurt our hearts, which damage us. Yes? Which hurt how we manifest. So there's a symbiotic relationship. What we put out, we get back. We put out a bad vibration, we're aggressive towards others. We get anger, which influences us. Right? We put out other things darker, or we trigger somebody who's not balanced. We can get back violence, which damages our body, which in turn damages the energy in our body, the flow of the energy of the chakras, which can cause problems. Our chakras are so damaged, our body's so damaged that the energy really does no longer flow properly, we die. Right? Death is our energy stops, right? From all the monitors, right? The heart stops vibrating, flatline. Our minds stop working, flatline up there too. And what it is that the damage is such that energy stops functioning. And we call that death. And then our soul, which is anchored in our body because it's alive, lifts or goes down. That makes sense? So in a way, it's not just us. We live in an ecosystem. And we get strength through our roots as well, and we absorb through our leaves. So if things are polluted around us, what are we absorbing in through our roots? What are we absorbing in through our leaves? That affects directly how we live, how healthy our body is from clean water and food, how healthy we are through a supportive environment that nourishes, balances, that supports us. We don't have proper support, we get ill because we're overextended or we're not having psychological nourishment like love and care, which influences our various chakras, like I'll get into in a moment. So we live in an ecosystem. Yes? We don't live in isolation. So, what kind of fruit do we bear? What do we create? Is our fruit wisdom, love, and we have a positive impact on our world, which we create, whether we realize it or not, by our actions or inactions, our thoughts, our words, or what we don't say, or what we shouldn't say, but we do? Is our silence wise or not? Our actions wise or not? So our fruit, what we produce, is it sweet or bitter? Is it life-giving or poisonous? And that fruit endures beyond us. How we treat our children, what we transmit to them, the influence we have, extends beyond our lifetime to our grandchildren, which influences our society for generations to come. If we produce in the child a great leader, and he or she does wonderful things, that can change the course of history. We produce a monster that could influence the world for centuries, or a bad mayor making bad decision at a local level can influence that city for decades to come. So our actions have repercussions. Our actions is the fruit of our tree. So we can see a tree on an individual, personal level. We're part of a community. So we're one branch on the community tree. We could also see, and that's also would go for the world, because that's a worldwide community. Then we can see humanity, a cosmic tree rooted in God. How aligned are we as children of God, men and women and children of God? And how aligned are we with that, with the Shekhinah, which is a lot of what I've been focusing on. Our alignment with the Shekhinah affects us personally, our personal chakras. It's medicine, it heals, it guides. We have books to help guide us. Our actions, which in turn affects our chakras. Are we on the upward spiral or the downward spiral? Are we purifying our chakras through our actions and thoughts? Or are we making it worse, which would lower our vibration, which affects our roots? They become less healthy, more poisonous, or do we produce no fruits at all and we're just sort of withering away? Yes? This is how it sort of all links. From a very practical point of view, so there's a midrash. Let me just step back. In the book of Proverbs, the righteousness is the foundation of the world. And it shows that living in alignment anchors God in this world, because that's the foundation of the world from which our life comes from. The fruit we bear is not predetermined because we have free will. It flows from the light which we allow to manifest through us, the truth we choose, and the alignment in our actions, in our body, that we hold on to and sustain, or we try to work on to improve. People understand who we are or know us by the fruit that we bear. A good person does good things. A wise person does wise things. It's literally apparent for the most part, unless they're masking. And what defines us is what we manifest. So, in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verses 7 and 8, blessed is the man who trusts in Yahweh. He shall be like a tree planted by waters, that spreads out its roots by the river. Its leaf shall be green, and it shall not cease from yielding fruit. And there's a midrash, which is basically a rabbinical commentary and an interpretation that sort of kind of draws out layers of meaning of a passage. And it compares man as a tree. And it basically compares a little bit of what I've been mentioning about branches, leaves, and fruits. And that a tree is known and judged by the fruit that it bears. So this symbolism very much exists in Torah and in the Tanakh. So there's an anchor there. It's an understanding. So let's go through each root, each chakra, and see how each chakra influences the fruit that we bring. Yes? A chakra in alignment I'm trying to get the right image for you. Let me just take a moment because I'm trying to do two things. Just give me 1 second, please. I apologize. So as each chakra sort of aligns, there are positive and negative. So if it's distorted and things are blocked there, it creates a sort of mental state and possible actions that occur. Yes? So the root chakra, the one between the legs at the bottom of sort of the torso, which is normally red, is really our foundation, survival and grounding. And when the fruits are positive, it promotes stability, safety, trust in life, endurance, reverence for our body, treating it properly as a temple, good food, good actions, not putting it in any danger. And we manifest in an aligned way. We're good stewards. When the energies of that chakra are not aligned, are distorted, we have fear of life. We tend to be physically ill as well. We don't find safety, so we tend to hoard, not be generous. We don't feel safe. We feel open to violence, and we tend to be very disconnected, very flighty, not focused. Through the sacral chakra, we're creative, enjoy intimacy, joy, healthy pleasure, fertility, our body, our spirit, physical fertility. You're able to reproduce sexually, and you have a healthy sex life. Not so distorted, out of alignment, we're prone to addiction. We lust, compulsive sexuality without love. We tend to be repressed, prone to guilt, emotionally volatile, and open to being manipulated because we're not grounded. Solar plexus, sort of the middle, not at the heart, but sort of between the rib cage, sometimes seen as a little lower, but I tend to find it where the rib cage comes together, sort of below the pecs, in the middle. Good solar plexus is an athlete, for an example. It's a bright sun. Yes? It's confidence, discipline, courage, integrity, healthy willpower, able to do things, manifest things, build things. Your back is straight and you walk with power. It's easier for you to influence people. You have confidence. People see it and they follow. A good leader, tends to have a very empowered solar plexus. Negative of it, controlling, you're dominating, you have pride, you have anger and shame, collapse of your will, passive, weak, not able to manifest. So it doesn't mean you have all of these attributes. Some might be good, and then yet you could be very powerful, able to manifest, yet it's based on pride. Your motivations aren't good because your heart is off. So your manifestation of your solar plexus is in a very distorted, harmful way, and you produce a negative fruit. So what I'm describing here is in its isolation by itself, but each one influences the other. So it's a complicated interweaving that occurs in our body. And that interweaving, as you see, comes up with mental states, in our minds, which causes a manifestation that isn't good. So we see how it all interweaves, and yet it's very also at its core, very physical. Heart chakra, green. Traditionally, the green color, it's love, compassion, forgiveness, empathy, harmony, generosity. All that good stuff. So a heart chakra that's off, that it's anger, hate, not jealousy, holding, resentment, that manifesting in the solar plexus as an outward manifestation in one's actions. Those things manifested in the secret, the sexual chakra, could lead to abusive sex, to being very manipulative. Then you become very unhappy, which could lead to an addiction. You get ill, then you worry even more, then that affects the root chakra. And sometimes the root chakra being off affects the heart. You become bitter and fearful, which affects how you manifest in your motivations, and your heart becomes disturbed. See how they all balance in? I'm going to get more into details in future weeks. So throat chakra, how you manifest through speech. Honesty, clarity, inspired, teaching, inspired, wise ways of words, and you're blessing with your words. Authentic expression, you're literally expressing what you feel and what you think. Yes? Here's something that's not listed. You manifest your truth. You stand up for yourself. You don't allow people to project your motivations onto their perspective of your motivations onto you. When they're honorable, your motivations, they view it in a distorted, perverted way because that's how they act, and they project that on you, and you don't counter-react that or disagree because you don't feel strong enough to do it. You don't feel confident enough. Solar plexus problem causes you not to be able to speak, and it gets stuck in your throat. Yes, kind people tend to have this problem a lot. People who've had abuse in their youth can't manifest their truth a lot. And they literally feel a pressure in their throat, and it chokes them. I know this one particularly well. It's a thing. And you really do feel it in here. So, and as an example, I once had a very bad breakup with somebody I cared about, projected all this stuff on me, and I couldn't break through the projections because of I couldn't say that I love him. I couldn't say, let's get through this, because I couldn't get it out of my throat. And I literally was choking for a month, literally choking. Couldn't breathe and literally would just gag in my throat. That's the manifestation of a very serious chakra block. And it tells you that these are real, because why in the world would you your throat close? It doesn't make any sense unless there's an energy center there that's so blocked that you can't even speak your truth. Your solar plexus are so damaged that you don't have the strength to say your truth, whatever the consequences would be. Then if you can't, how do you shift the situation to repair, or to realize, oh, this is something we need to work on, or to make it work? If I'm rupture to we're continuing. Does that make sense? We could all say and do whatever we like and think it's out there or it's in our head. But the root is really grounded in the energy of our body. And we fail to recognize that. And because we fail to recognize that, we lose a very important point of access that could fundamentally change us from the bottom up. Yes? So we work with prayer, we work with healing our body and massage and everything. But what is all that filtered down to within the very basic energetic frequency of life that comes through us, the Shekhinah that flows through our very body? Comes in pure, yet what happens to it? The distortions. And we're not engaging directly with the distortions. We're playing with the software when we should be getting into the copper wire and the blocks, the computer chips that are not working, and deal with the physical of that as well. The understanding of where the imbalances are, so we could particularly target a root chakra problem or a solar plexus problem. So at least we understand what's going on. And that gives a point of access for psychology, gives a point of access for certain maybe mantras we pray. A point of access of just understanding is that we're not fucked up, pardon my French, is that we are actually having a wiring problem, which causes those thoughts. And we come to understand, why do we have this wiring problem? And it depersonalizes it. From the knives being pointed inwards of judgment, I'm defective, this is just what I am, I tend to be depressed, I'm a depressed person. And if you believe that, that's just how you are, like the wall is white, that's just what it is, then there's no changing it. But realizing that this is a physical, energetic problem. Anger is also a physical, energetic problem. Violence is a physical, energetic problem. We come to realize, okay, I'm not naturally an angry person at our core. There's a tendency of energies within me that causes that. It doesn't excuse the behavior. It doesn't mean you don't do anger management courses. Doesn't mean you don't take medication, which helps treat the manifestation of anger or the boiling up of anger in an uncontrolled way. You do these things, but you also realize there's something deeper than that. When you do acupuncture in those meridians, the person literally works with the energy parts of the body. That's why these needles are put in specific places. Even 3 millimeters to the left or the right could affect a different channel, which would affect how that energy is being rerouted to healthier pathways, how it's allowing that certain energy to exit the body because it's like a dam block going on. It's in the wrong place, so it's allowed to leave so the body could rebalance itself from an imbalance that's occurring. It's an understanding that there is a sacred architecture and energy, a circuit of wires, tens and thousands of them, I would say even maybe hundreds of thousands of them if you're in a very subtle level. But the major ones are more easily apparent and studyable from someone who's more of a lay person. Acupuncturists know a lot of different ones. They study it. Massage moves through, moves the energy so it flows, breaks those beaver dams that I've mentioned in the past. So the chakras, which are literally balls of energy, where all those meridians flow into, and they mix. And if it's out of balance, it throws off everything it's connected to throughout the body. This is just the architecture of where we are. If our house is damaged, and we repaint the exterior wall because there's a crack, and then we're shocked that it recracks because there's something wrong with the foundation, there's something wrong with the walls. There's a leaky pipe in there, which is what's causing the crack. But we're dealing with the external crack without realizing, hold on, there's also something underneath the exterior wall. There's drywall, there's pipes, there's electricity, there's a foundation. The earth may have shifted and it's caused an issue, and we need to rebalance that foundation to get stability. Right? So, good example. You buy a house in a nice part of town, but 20 years later, due to various situations, that part of town is now very dangerous. Foundation, right? You live, your house literally is in the wrong place of town. You get ill. Why? Because you're scared. You don't see your friends anymore. Why? Because you don't want to leave your house after sunset. Sadly, there are places in this world where it's very true. Right? Or you go on vacation in some exotic country, beautiful and wonderful, but you just know you don't leave after sunset, right? And it affects everything. Your kids are raised in that neighborhood. They really don't care what it was like 20 years ago. Their reality is, this is what this neighborhood is today. And it affects them, affects their whole lives, could affect their grandkids. So you could paper it over all you want, or you realize the foundation is off and you move. And when you do, you're happier, your heart flows. There's less of a first chakra of survival, fear of being killed. And everything flowers again because you saw what the problem was, the foundation, and you shifted. And now you see also how it affects the body because that external affected your internal. You being off in one's chakras, you make bad choices. Right? Somebody more prone to crime or whatever may like living in those neighborhoods because there's people who are easier to prey on. You go to a rich neighborhood to prey on people, there's private security, there's alarm systems, the police patrol it more. Do you see? So you gravitate to different things. Possibly. You naturally like a louder environment. You naturally like an element that's more dangerous because it makes you feel more alive. So no judgment, but it's just you begin to understand the architecture of everything. And you realize it's not just your mind. There's literally a wiring going on in your body. And how it's wired influences your thoughts, which influences your actions. And your actions influences your thoughts, which in turn influences the wiring of your body through the different chakra points. So we've been discussing a lot of top down. This is the bottom up, the core. Mantras affect the mind, but they also really affect the body and the wiring and the chakra system, whether we realize it or not. Often we're like, oh, I feel calmer, I feel better, I feel wiser, I've gotten insights. So you think, wow, that's really affected the mind in that way. Yes, but not in the direct way we think. It's influenced our chakras and the energy that flows in our body, which has caused our mind to be more calm, which has opened the flow through the blocks we have temporarily and actually healed it a little bit, which is why it's important to do it regularly, because that healing becomes bigger, and the shift, as opposed to being a smaller amount of time, ends up becoming permanent rewiring. It all is subject to change, not permanent, these things. It gives one's hope that you're not a depressed person or not an angry person, and that's how you are. These are all subject to change. But as you work on it, the flow improves and you're like, oh, I'm wiser, I made better decisions. That's because you're in focusing on the pure flow that comes through the third eye. You have a transcendental wisdom because you're connecting to God, which is the chakra above, gold. The flow comes through and you're receptive because the other chakras are in balance. The anger is not so strong that it overpowers that little voice inside, that alignment to wisdom that doesn't have anger. That little voice that's soft, because all the other voices have gotten calm and aligned, actually becomes a voice that you hear easily because it's not suppressed. And when it really, you need to hear it, it's so loud that you just stop and you listen to the wisdom that's coming through because something is urgent. And that's how fundamental change occurs. When you take certain herbs, especially from the East, roots and barks, and that's when you go to these Eastern doctors, they give you all these little roots for little teas, that rebalances energies in the body, which rebalances the nervous system, which in turn affects your thoughts and your actions, because actions come from thoughts, emotions. Yes? So, third eye. Insight, intuition, wisdom with a capital W, discernment. Be able to see a situation clearly and how to act or not act. It's a clear seeing where you're able to understand properly. It's a clarity. It's not just spiritual perception. It's being able to perceive even everything in our normal lives in the proper way, which gives turns to wise judgment. It's the upper Sefirot. Remember, there's Keter, and then there's wisdom, the feminine, on the right, and then action of the wisdom on the left, the masculine, the action, and the wisdom on the right, the feminine aspect, right? So the wisdom's the feminine, which flows, because of the line, starts with the wisdom, flows into the action of it. The action aspect is judgment, a decision, which in turn gives rise to action, physical, verbal, or not physical and not verbal, but that's a choice. Non-action is an action. That's why it's non, N-O-N. And it's based on wisdom, ultimately. It's the third eye. The brain is a little bit of a soup, a lot of different things. But if it's honed in, aligned with the third eye, wisdom becomes a very, very powerful tool. It's a tool of the third eye and the crown of alignment. All that knowledge and wisdom that's in the mind flows out properly with the clear seeing, and it all rearranges. Yes? So, distortion, you live in illusion, delusion, arrogance of intellect, confusion, fantasy, blindness to truth. I think this world today and our society and everything else literally gives us 1,000,001 examples of this, sadly. Right? Just, why even get into it? It's just so obvious, sadly. So let's focus on manifestations of the positive aspects. Not so easy. So let me just go to the archetypes of this: saints, prophets, God, Emmanuel, priests, and religious figures that are truly and aligned with God, who've done their work, people we know who have done their work, people who manifest properly. The tzaddik, the holy people, the righteous man and women that walk this planet, and they do their work because they live from the positive attributes of the third eye. Then they know how to manifest in their throat a certain way. Their heart naturally beats a certain way. Their solar plexus manifests the right actions. The sacral and the root are in balance. And all of this comes from a union with God, the crown, their ability to have that transmission of humility, peace, wisdom, enlightenment. They don't manifest spiritual pride. They don't escape from reality. There's no false enlightenment. They're not deluded in thinking, oh, I'm all this and it's all messed up. It's not true. They are truths with a capital T, not relative at all. They are literally truths of what it is and what it's not. It's not what we would like it to be or what we would like it not to be. There's really no personal opinion involved. It's really clear what's good, positive, and what's distorted, the negative. Also, rejection of earthly life is very interesting here because, and this happens a lot in the spiritual religious community. Now, you could be a monk. There's nothing wrong about that, living in the caves. There's people who are called to that. That's where they are. And sometimes after 20 years or whatever, they come into the world and then they teach, or they just manifest in the world. That's what they feel called to do because they're aligned, and that's their path. But a lot for people, when they walk the spiritual path, they want to do it to transcend, to move beyond the planet, beyond their society. And it's a rejection based on a reaction. Not so much that they're aligned, is that they just don't want to deal with it and it's poisonous. So I'm removing myself. You see, it's a reaction to, as opposed to an action. My calling is in this direction. Do you see? And a lot of spiritual people and sometimes go to that. And what it is not desiring to embody these truths into their lives. They wish to just move up to a higher dimension. And so they don't interact in the same way. They don't bring to earth the fruits of their labor, become an Emmanuel, which actually manifests and repairs. There's no tikkun onam in this. They've tikku'd themselves, but they are removing themselves. Their tree bears personal fruit, but no fruit for the community and the world. They wish to leave. They wish to leave, literally. They wish to transcend and die. Some of them, it's just literally of like, I've gone through and now I'm going to disembody and move through. It's seen in different traditions that I've studied. It's a thing, but it's not fully whole. We're on this planet for a reason. God gave us a life, not to escape it, in my humble opinion, but to try to live with it in a proper way. So we heal our chakras, we balance our Sefirot, we heal our bodies, we work with our energy channels. So we're able to manifest our tree, which has been planted here by God, in the way it was intended to be, not to reject ourselves. Going through my images here. So if you go to Jacob's ladder, here, it goes up and it comes down. We go up as we ascend through the chakras, and we're more and more living in the upper chakras, because you could live in the lower, you could live in the middle, you could live up. But see, it's to bring it back down too. It's not just going up. When people realize they go up, they realize they have to embody it. That energy needs to come back down. That's not often discussed. People talk about going up the chakras. They don't realize that then you got to take what's up and you need to bring it back down. Ground it in your life. Otherwise, you've bypassed your body. And that's not what that was meant to be. This activates our tree. When one connects with the wisdom eye and the crown, which activates throat chakra balance, sacral balance, everything being balanced, that leads to a healthy tree that bears good fruit. It's not meant to be a launching pad. It's meant to feed us, feed our society. So we bear beautiful fruit. And as a branch in society, we feed and nurture each other. We feed the birds. We help our tree. We're not a diseased branch that kills our tree, the tree that we live in. We're a fruitful branch that gives life. Our leaves feed the tree, helps cover those branches that aren't doing very well, helps cover those branches that have died or are diseased. Because we are able to be that offshoot that sustains and helps. And that, in my humble opinion, is the purpose of life. That's a life that has purpose. People ask, what gives life meaning? I find life to be meaningless. What's the point of this? Well, that's my answer to that question. We heal for ourselves. We don't like feeling the way we are when we are off. We don't like it, right? If you're really honest, does an angry person like being angry? I don't think so. I think it's painful to them. And they lose people they care about, which could make them angrier, right? We heal ourselves, and then we begin to realize that that's a spiritual path in itself. If we take it larger, that this heals our alignment with God and helps our environment in our society, our kids, they are raised properly. We make good decisions, which helps our spouse and our kids and our lives. And then we clear, and then as we hit the third eye and the crown, we begin to realize, oh, there was a higher purpose for this. We're manifesting the Sefirot in the tree of life in a balanced way on this planet, which in turn helps us to repair our broken disconnection with God. And one begins to investigate what's religion, what's going on, where are the truths. And some might call it the truths of the universe. Some might call it different religious names from different traditions. But one begins to align with that and to seek greater knowledge and greater ways of healing. And if you're listening to me today, that would be probably all of you. Because there's a deeper desire that's awakened. You get up early in the morning, or you're listening to me at 2 in the morning, or you decide to come in the afternoon, Pacific time, or a different time in your day. Regardless, it's Sunday and it's a weekend, and you take part of your time off to make this part of your weekend. Because it's become something you would like to do, you feel called to, you feel it's a benefit, something in your heart calls you to it, and you like it, hopefully. And it gives tools to heal, ultimately. Healing our alignment, healing our tree, healing our energies, healing our minds, it heals our families and our society, and gives us purpose, because our life becomes the path that returns us to God. Because our life is finite, and we're working on making sure that it's a good life. And then as our hearts align with what's good and true, we desire ever closer union with that. And then the path becomes really, really easy as one samples the fruit and realize how good it is. Because I don't like putting images up. I'm very careful with images, because they represent a truth. And truths that are visual line up our minds and our bodies and our energy channels. What we see can lead to distortion of our minds and thoughts in our bodies, or it could lead to pointing in the right direction. Same with what we hear. That's why I'm sort of locking in what the Aleph looks like and the tree of life and encouraging people, if they feel called, to put it on their prayer space. Why I'm editing the songs a little bit. There's one that's being sort of digitally retooled to make a little better. Is why I haven't been playing it, and I haven't put it up yet because it's not quite ready. Because these could really be medicine, and sometimes medicine can be taken to the next level because we really need everything to align us. There's so much in this world that's a little off, or can't, or is not quite at 100% as potent as it can be, or it's completely off. And taking and at least having a little bit to nurture us, to remind us during our day, helps bring us into that alignment. Like the image where I'm just staring at this image as I'm speaking to you, that's a very profound image. And given all the teachings I've given over the last 5 or 6 months, and if you learned them or studied them, or at least heard them once and have a gist as to what they're about, by looking at one image, you could write a book on this image because you understand what it means. Especially after today, now you're like, well, when it hits the figure, then it's in the chakras. And then once as we develop over the next couple of weeks, how the chakras manifest, just by looking at this image, there's a whole wealth of knowledge that activates. By having an image like this has a great blessing. You literally have the Jacob tree of life in the Jacob's ladder, literally there. You have the Sefirot, and that's a blessed image. That's sacred image. The geometry of it, what it represents, all the centuries of teachings that went into the different Sefirot. Then you see it goes in, the golden halo over the head. 1 second here. Let's see if I could bring this forth a little bit. Let's see what I can do. I know I can do this. I can see if this program. No. Well, you could see the little halo here. Let me see if I can. You see the top of the head, the glow, right? It's a little golden. Well, that could be the third crown, or the third crown's actually the last Sefirot's above. And you see the light coming down into the body. That would be the third. That would be the upper chakra going into the crown. You see the chakra above the head, the golden halo, coming down into the crown chakra, the third eye, and through all the chakras in the body in alignment. So having an image like that as the wallpaper of your phone or on your computer, you look at it during the day because it's literally in front of your face. It reminds you. It has a blessing. Now you see Torah because Jacob's ladder is based on the Torah. You see the Sefirot. You understand the chakras. You see the blessing above, God in the light above the tree coming through, emanating. The Aleph is above the light. You see what I mean? It's the Or Ein Sof. Everything I've taught, that's That's God coming in and animating everything. There's just so many layers. What we're learning is to rebalance and align. What we're learning is how to manifest through obstacles and still show up and try to do a good job. What we're learning is to heal, how to reduce the obstacles, how to have strength in the obstacles, how to manifest in love and kindness and care. Path is not always easy. Path can be a big struggle. We fall, we're carried at times. At times you don't even know how you're doing it. But there's momentum. We're trying to bring in the elements so there is a forward positive momentum. And sometimes that's all we can do, just a slight change. Well, a slight change plus a slight change plus a slight change, that equals to something, and often quite quickly. New avenues open, things that could create faster change in the positive direction. Or suddenly there's a breakthrough and it's a whole new world, and things just naturally fall away. And those obstacles, those challenges, that uphill climb with rocks, with the path being obscured, you just really can't see it really well. With a steep incline, suddenly all that goes away. The pinto falls away. The truck that you've been riding that gets you there because the road is whatever, but you have a little cushion in the truck and the tires, it's rugged and you can go faster, and you're there, you're sustained through the hardships. Suddenly, poof, you're in the Ferrari on a straight pathway, the Autobahn, just straight and fast and smooth. The landscape magically shifts, or your life looks the same, but somehow things have changed in it. It's not the challenge and the difficulties. Your relationships have breakthroughs. Things just magically sort of happen. The frequency changes and things clear. Things fall away, things come in, things just issues, anger, emotions, certain ways of thinking, limited thinking, crazy thinking that's too expansive and not grounded. Things line up in balance. The Sefirots align, your chakras aligned, your ladder aligns, and you are able to live in a greater union. I have the image here, the promise. Just saw it. Or not. Well, just move along. There we are. This becomes your reality. The blessings coming down, the alignment. You could see that various blessings as the rainbow light are the blessings of the chakras when they're aligned. And the third channel is the light up the top, Jacob's ladder, and it comes down. There's a up and there's a down, there's an alignment. And you live in the divine flow, which is our birthright. So, why don't we just move a little bit to the music? I don't have the energetic strength quite well today to do the prayer. So we're just going to listen to some songs. And that's a form of prayer and meditation together. And we're going to listen. And I invite you to sing. Because that's a form of medicine. The words are sacred. And we're going to sing, hopefully. And I hope everybody raises their voice. The last song, which I played last week, uses the name of God, El Shaddai. The song's a reminder of the decisions we have to make on the path and our choice to align and our choice to align with God. And it's a choice of what we bring in, what we push away, our decisions that we make, and asking for divine help. El Shaddai is a name of God that we've worked with, and some of you may use it as your main name, or you use it as part of a name, like Adonai El Shaddai could be a mantra. Or Abba El Shaddai could be one of somebody's mantra. Or El Shaddai Abba. That's powerful. So you learn to work. Actually, that just popped my third eye. So do you see one way does one thing, and the other way does it work slightly different, in a different way. And you learn to sort of work with it. And you're working with energy. Name El Shaddai appears especially in the Torah. And it embodies sufficiency and protection. It's a very nourishing mother type energy, yet it's actually very powerful. It is very energetic and it cuts through. It's a manifestation of God that sets limits by saying enough. It's a big current. It feels like a flowing current of white or yellowish white. And it sets boundaries. And it sustains life and aligns you right up to the covenant. I see sometimes lightning through it. It's a very powerful manifestation of God that cuts through. It gives you a sense of divine sufficiency, of being enough strength, enough nurture, enough protection. It provides you with what you need. All the names do this, but there's certain names of holding certain vibrations. And it's an aspect that's very much felt in the body and nourishes and protects from harm. It's a shield and a sword. Very much so. How does this vary from the Shekhinah? Because it's very similar to the Shekhinah. Shekhinah is a manifestation of God's presence. It's not a name of God. It's something different. It's God's indwelling, Shekhinah, to dwell. It's God's indwelling presence, the nearest, how near the divine is in its creation, in our creation, our community, our soul. It permeates us. It's a living frequency that lives on this planet, whether we realize it or not. It's compassionate, very present, it's immanent, it's radiant, it's mothering. That's the feminine aspect. And the masculine aspect of the Shekhinah is compassion in action, the actual radiance out into the world. It's the paternal mothering, the protective father that's more active, right? It's the father that protects the female when they're being aggressed, right? You rarely see it's the man would protect his wife. The wife could protect the man, but it tends to be the father, the masculine aspect traditionally has the one that would stand first. Because that's the embodiment of that. See? So it's the manifestation of wisdom in action, the manifestation that protects the holy books. Holy books would be considered feminine. They contain the word, the wisdom. Somebody grabbing the holy book, a woman grabbing a holy book to protect it, the woman is embodying the masculine aspect, the protection, carrying it away to safety. But you see, it's not necessarily anything to do with sex. But the Shekhinah manifested in the world in that way is the masculine aspect of God. So both the El Shaddai and the Shekhinah carry a maternal, nourishing qualities, as well as masculine qualities. And both are expressions of God's nearness and its care. And it's not only transcendent out there beyond touching, it can materialize in our world in a real way, which is why we say God's name. And El Shaddai invokes covenant, our decision to walk with God, and a great blessing. We invoke God's covenant, very much so. It brings it down. God's covenant with us, His protection, His guidance. It brings it forth immediately in our presence in a very direct, powerful way with its blessings and how it manifests. And the Shekhinah is a presence that rests with us. We're not calling it down. Shekhinah naturally lives here. The El Shaddai name very much brings it present. But I would say it manifests from day to day in the Shekhinah aspect. It rests with us, especially in our exile or removed life from God. We touch with it when we live in sanctity with good intent and when we pray. Or when we listen to beautiful music, really we feel calm because we're resonating with the beautiful attributes of the Shekhinah, holiness, beauty, rhythm. And the two really overlap, especially when we feel that God is close to us. So I invite you to work with the mantra we spoke about last week. Once the song is complete, I will refresh the images in our on the website, so you will have this. If you wish to have it now, feel free to take a screenshot, and I'll put out a notification that it's available in the messages section of the website when I fully update everything. So I invite you over the next 2 weeks to focus a little bit on your practice. Take some solitary time if you can have it, a day or two to yourself, go to the beach, and focus inwards. You feel called listening to the teaching, any teaching that I've given that you feel called to listen to. It's all on the website, even the last 10 or 12. It's more in the live teachings, and I'm going to work in the next week or two to get them all finalized. But they're still all up there. They're just not in the video section. They're all listed in the live section. Listen to what you feel called to. But the most important thing is to practice. Look at the names and do the one that you feel called to do. The one on the website will be updated soon with the Shekhinah included. But this is what it is. Doing these names heals the chakras. Energy, the use of energy, heals the chakras, heals the energy in our minds, heals our body physically, and connects us with God. It's literally one thing that works on all the different levels. Rebalances the Sefirot. This is why mantras are so powerful. We're literally hitting all the levels at once. Or sit in silence, or just listen to music. This doesn't work for you, listen to a song, or a song that you like, that makes you feel calm and at peace. Watch the words, make sure it's aligned, and try to connect. So let's pray and sing a little together.
cast all care aside, we bow down our pride. Rescue us from the tide. On your wings, lift us high. In the dark, be a light. We need you on our side. El Shaddai. We need you on our side. El Shaddai. We need you on our side. El Shaddai. Let your cloud be our guide. Let your fire lead at night. When our foes come to fight, we need you on our side. El Shaddai. We need you on our side. El Shaddai. We need you on our side. El tried it, God denied it. El Shaddai, El Shaddai. Baal, we bind. Tell them why we riding with El Shaddai. El Shaddai.
תרצה רוח, קבל
בצדקתך תמיד גומלם חסין קדוש חסין קדוש ברוב טובך נהל עדתך יחיד גאה לעמך פנה זוכרי קדושתך שבתנו קבל ושמע צעקתנו יודע תעלומות רנה בכוח פעולת ימינך תתרצה רוח קבל רינות עמך סגנו טהרנו נורא שבתנו קבל ושמע צעקתנו יודע תעלומות יודע
ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Thank you so much for joining me this week. And I wish you the very best next 2 weeks. May El Shaddai be with us and our families in our world. Amen. See you soon. Bye-bye.